time for Dave 101.
You know, when congressional hearings opened up this past Tuesday, I really wanted to see Alice Cooper there, starting off with, "Hello, hooray, let the show begin." But we didn't get much of a show now, did we? Sure, there were some very positive aspects about the U.S. congressional hearings. Let's start with those. Number one, the media content that followed right afterwards was absolutely amazing. This wasn't just in the United States, this was around the world, where the media was finally paying attention that maybe, just maybe, there is something to this UFO phenomena that we have to pay attention to. The good news is, for me being in Canada, is the trickle-down effect that we are seeing right here, right now. We now have two of the three major parties looking into UAP phenomena, and of course, the Conservative Member of Parliament, Mr. Larry Maguire, will be here on June 1st talking about what he's learned about UAPs in Canada. This is significant, what is going on, where other countries are paying attention as well. Another positive. But when it came to news, there wasn't much in the public hearings. We had two gentlemen, both sitting there in their suits, Mr. Bray and Mr. Moultrie, taking questions from congressmen, some of them seeming so out of touch with the subject that it really made us slap our foreheads saying, look, a 5-year-old can ask better questions than this. Isn't that right, Congressman Swamp Gas? But they stood there. They played dumb. And for all intents and purposes, that was their job. Their job was to play down Roswell, to never heard of the Wilson Davis documents, which have now been submitted as evidence, which is a win for the UFO world, even though those documents have never, ever been verified, as far as we know publicly. They also knew nothing about the Malmstrom Air Force Base incidents in the 1960s and 70s, where these red orbs were literally turning on and shutting down the countdowns to nuclear missiles. And they were ready to launch and ready to fire towards Russia. There was a lot of, I don't know, we're new to this, we don't know the answer, we better not talk about that publicly, let's wait till the private hearings going on. But this is what I loved. Representative Gallagher and Representative Burchett afterwards lost their minds. They want to know everything. For Tim Burchett, he literally wants everything disclosed right from Roswell. Open it all up. No more secrets. Tired of military secrets. Let's get to it. Let's let the American public and therefore the world public see what we know about what and who these aircraft and beings are. Let's get it all in the open. Representative Gallagher, on a different podcast, the Pat McAfee podcast, which you can find on YouTube, literally came out and said, we don't know where these are from. Could they be time travelers from the future? Are they future us? Are they from outer space? Are they from different dimensions? We don't know where they're coming from. And if that's the case, they're opening Pandora's box. Another positive. So what made this negative? Well, the ignorance of the panel that was being interviewed, the ignorance of the questions that were not asked, like Roswell, the I don't knows scenario, which was brought forward quite a bit. But, as Luis Elizondo has stated, there is more good than bad. I, unfortunately, am the one who sees the negative side over this more than the positive. But as Elizondo tuned me up, it's baby steps, David. I don't let anybody call me David besides my grandmother, my sisters, and my mom. But I let him that time. It's baby steps, David. Why not? He's right. There are more and more hearings coming. We're allowed to be disappointed with this one, but you know what? At this point, we have to take what we could get. Now, for the UFO world, we're sick of taking what we could get. We have been fed morsels and breadcrumbs for decades that we want the meal. We want the full meal deal with condiments and the large drink with a plastic, not paper straw, because paper straws are terrible right now. We got to reinvent those. We want to be able to feed. We want to be able to learn. And for those of us who've had experiences, we want accountability. No, there was nothing about experiencers. There was not even really any talk about NASA and what they know. There was no mention of the United States Air Force, who wants nothing to do with this game, and they won't tell us why. There were more questions than answers. We know that. We know that there are stories out there that are hanging on a limb, waiting for us to be picked. And we want them. How do we get them? Well, we have to let people do their jobs. It sucks because we want to pressure. We want to keep it on up. We want to continue our activism towards this topic. But in the end, we have to let people, whether it's Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, Sean Cahill, whether it's Tim Burchett, Gallagher, Schiff, whoever else, Carson, and even the big boys and girls like Gillibrand and Rubio have their say. We have to allow them to continue to hit that wedge between disclosure and the non-disclosure movement, and to hit that wedge and push the military-industrial complex away from the UAP subject. Hopefully, we will get more videos rather than something that is less than a second long. Hopefully, we will get more understanding of where these craft are coming from. Those of us who've experienced it, we already know. But for the majority out there who haven't, we want you to know. This is a subject that we also can't forget is very divided within the United States government. The religious side really doesn't want to bring this up because everything's demons. Then you have the financial side, who is worried about what any sort of ET contact will do to the economy. We're already in rough shape. Major debts, larger than life deficits that will never see the light of day, that our grandchildren's grandchildren will be paying off the debt of what the idiots in Capitol Hill in the United States and at Parliament in Canada are racking up. Never mind the politicians around the world. Yet they still don't tell us, who do we owe the debt to? It doesn't make sense. No, this is about information. This is about taking baby steps forward. It's not satisfying when you want to run. And what we're saying to the UFO community is, as much as we want the marathon to continue, we have to win the sprints. The first sprint, according to Elizondo and others, as disappointing as it was a victory. Look at the benefits that have happened. In the 2 days since the U.S. congressional hearings, I personally have done 5 radio interviews around North America. Other people, from Preston Dennett to Brian Bender to Dr. Bob McGuire to Katie Grabowski, and hundreds of others, have been doing interviews with media outlets who want to know, is this real? And all of us get to come together and say, this isn't about little green men. This isn't about Twilight Zone or Doctor Who or the X-Files. This isn't about tinfoil hats anymore. This is about a new reality that is coming within the next few years. And whether those next few years are within the next 5 years or within the next 50 years, that is a speck of time on the world's calendar. Who knows what is going to happen? We don't know what's going to be released. And according to Bray and Moultrie, apparently there's no reports of even crash retrievals and aliens. So we can't even talk about that right now. But it's the little victories that we have to accept. We don't want to. We shouldn't have to. But right now, it's all we got. The puzzle pieces are turning over. And the fact that even with Mr. Swamp Gas asking questions, it's all in the public eye. The media is finally excited about this story, whether you like them or not. They finally arrived. Let's just hope that they keep the pressure up rather than focusing on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial that means nothing to humanity, even though it's a sad situation. No, we must keep going. We must keep pushing. We must keep asking questions. When we stop asking questions, that's when we need to be worried. This isn't about Elizondo anymore. This isn't about Mellon. This isn't about those who are doing disrespect to the UFO world and those who are not. This is about all of us now coming together and knowing that we were right. That for the first time in a long time, nearly 50 years, we get to point to our friends, our bosses, our coworkers, our family. Those lights in the sky that you told me I was drinking too much, yeah, those are real. And that's what we wanted. In the end, we want this to be acknowledged. We need it to be acknowledged. And we're almost there. We are almost there. So once again, I reiterate to close out this Dave 101. It may not be what you wanted. The U.S. congressional hearings definitely were not what I wanted to hear. But it was a step in the right direction. It was a step towards transparency and a step towards the disclosure that we all yearn for. And hopefully, there's more to come. That is your Dave 101.